Can you make me one? Please, 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 please.
I have your blanket, brother!
We need to make this happen. Hey ho, I'm Rachel, this is Missy, and we're Miss Daisy Sewing, and today we're going on a meme misadventure making Moth Mortarion. You don't want to know how many times it has taken me to say that. Basically, my husband plays 40k, he paints all the miniatures, all that jazz. That is all I know of it, is what I have learned via osmosis from that. And effectively, there's a sort of meme culture where they are taking the big gribblies, Primarchs, I think, and turned them into cute chibi animals, and Moth Mortarion is probably the cutest thing I have ever seen. Even if it is a moth in a gas mask, I don't care. So we're going to use the artwork from Kilvius and use that as our sort of inspiration base. The meme itself that sort of started all of this is by Idiotic Sync. Everything will be down below as per usual. Now, we're going to use the moth pattern from Cholyknight. It's a Etsy pattern. She does do a lot of free patterns on her website, but this is one of her to buy patterns. And I cannot sing the praises highly enough of this creator. Like, her plushie patterns are phenomenal and some of the best like laid out patterns and instructions I have ever seen. So not sponsored or anything, but just trying to share the love because she's a phenomenal creator. And yeah, basically, silly meme, impulse creation. Let's just roll with it from there, shall we? So I've got here the pattern, and I've got my reference picture. And the plan is going to be to do the lying down moth, because I quite like the fact it's got the sort of the body, the thorax, and the head, and the little legs. I know the head here is green, so I'm actually going to make a separate little hood in green to go over the white face. I did purchase the embroidery files for the eyes, so we're going to use sort of that one, I think, with the little flick. I know it's a bit more girly, but I want to do that one, but in the green colours, more like what we've got here. For the little gas mask, I will figure that out when I get there. They're really simple. I'm going to do the underside in a light green, and then the outside, top side, in the darker green I've got for the hood as well. So first thing I'm going to do is get the embroidery machine up and running. I converted these to have both eyes together on the same hoop, but they do come separately. You can sort of see a weird kind of plasticky coating here, and that is the sort of fusible interface that I'm using. It's a tearaway type, but also soluble, and helps stop the needle getting stuck in the sort of furry, fleecy fabrics. The next step was getting this printed, and as you can see, there was a lot of pages to print out. Whilst there's a lot to print out, there's not actually as many pattern pieces as it looks to be. There's different variants of wings, and then different sort of like showing you the applique placings. So I only need one set of the wings. Half of these are for the standing moth, whereas we're just going to do the lying down flying moth. And then a bulk of this is the actual applique stencils, which again we're not going to need. We're just doing plain wings for this guy, and I used the embroidery machine for the eyes. So what I'm going to do is, for future purposes, I'm going to grab some Polly Pockets, and basically I will cut everything out and put all the standing pieces in one Polly Pocket and the flying pieces in the other, and keep all the printed stuff that I'm not going to use, just to future-proof this so I don't have to print it again. Whilst I will fully admit to a large amount of feral crafting in my life, I do like to be organised, and having these written out in advance really did make this task of cutting all of these pieces out much easier. whilst I didn't necessarily need to have everything perfectly trimmed for the standing moth, which I wasn't going to make this time, it's going to future-proof it, and future me will, in fact, be very pleased that I had taken this little step now. So I've gone through and dug out the pieces I need. I want to go with the more pointy antennae rather than the bug one. And then we've got all of the flying piece patterns, and it's technically the wings for the poodle moth, but it's just the sort of basic wing shape that we're after. What I'm going to do is do all of the pieces for the body in white. I've got a white fur for the little furry ruff there, and then the wings will be in the 2 shades of green I've got. Originally I wanted the sort of fluffy bit in a green, but 1, I don't have a green fur, and 2, because I want to put a little sort of cape hood on him, I think it'll look cuter and just make more sense to have it as a little sort of like medieval style hood and sit a little bit on the front and the back as a separate piece. Although the antennae will be attached to that, so it will be attached to the actual body, it's not going to come off. I have an idea, I think it's going to work. Let's just push on with getting some of these pattern pieces cut. So we've got everything cut, that's the wings, all of the legs and the head pieces. I love the way the eyes have turned out. And then I've got all of the body parts here, so you can see that's the sort of the belly, I think. That's going to be the ruff, that's the back. I have cut the antennae in the fur, and I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I do want the antennae to be fluffy if I can get away with it, but I might have to recut this in the smoother fabric. We'll just wing it and see. Ba-boom ching. Yeah, overall, already really pleased with it. I think this is going to be a really fun little pattern to put together. So, don't cut stuff out on 4 hours of sleep, because you do things like cutting the eyes upside down. Yeah, I've cut both his little face pieces with the eye that way when it should be that way. Thankfully, because I was going to redo the eyes, re-embroider them, but I was having to think, and he's got to have a gas mask on, and he's going to be wearing a cowl. So if the nose turns out a little bit wonky, it's going to be absolutely fine. So what I'm actually going to do is just flip the pattern piece so that it's the right way around, and accept that the nose is probably going to be totally off. My plan for the gas mask is to use the sort of nose part of this anyway, so it will correct the shape when I put his gas mask on. Which is good, because I didn't want to have to redo the embroidery. I've only got a finite amount of this white, and I might need to use it for the body, because I'm not sure how well the fur is going to sew up. So let's just get on with it. I'm going to get these bits redone, and then we can start getting bits on the sewing machine. Yay! So to just show you, that's the eyes there. They are now the right way up. This is the pattern piece for the right way up, so it won't quite perfectly fit underneath. That is to be expected, so I'm going to try and match it as best I can. And like I said, just accept that the face is going to be a bit wonky. I will just sort of hand sew this little dart within the seam allowance, just like that. Just try and close it up as much as I can, and rock on from there. The first thing was to get this pattern piece corrected, and I managed that relatively easily. Then it was time to get prepared to do the sewing. And there was a lot of sewing. Whilst none of the pieces are very big, there are a lot of pieces. In the end, I ended up using a knitting needle to help turn the pieces round. These legs are tiny. And stuffing the legs took even longer because they were so small. I really had to be creative in cramming the stuffing into it. I am cursed. I've just realised I've stitched this upside down again. So I'm going to unpick these parts and the main seam here and redo it. But at least I've got some little leg stuff, that's a win. So I've got the body assembled, I still need to stuff him. He's already looking so cute. That's the ruff, that's going to go around his neck. And then we've got our wings here, which will go on his back. Okay. So I think it's starting to come together now. There was a moment when he was all inside out where he looked absolutely horrifying, but he's gonna be cute. Yay! So yeah, we're gonna stuff him, and then it's all the hand sewing to attach the wings and the ruff, and then it's on to figuring out how we're gonna do the gas mask and the cowl, because we don't want to hide that precious little face. He's all cute. This assembled together really quickly. I don't know if it was the 4 hours of sleep or because it is just that dang cute, but I was just thrilled with this at every step. Whilst I wouldn't recommend a plushie for your first project, they're not as intimidating as they look, so long as you're prepared to do quite a bit of hand sewing. And the payoff for the hand sewing is that you very quickly get something really quite sweet. I did have a moment where I didn't really want to put the cowl and the gas mask on him just because I was so enamoured by how cute he was, but the project must continue. For the gas mask, I traced out the nose part of the pattern in a grey felt and just kind of played about with it on the face until I was happy with the shape of it. To make the sort of canisters that go either side, I just rolled up a piece of felt and stuck them on where it looked good. I then played about with the hood for ages and really did overcomplicate things originally before I decided to just go down the route of draping the green on the head and kind of just trimming it to a nice shape.
My lamp.
If you're asking yourself, did two grown-ass adults really go to the range to film a plushie? Then yes. Yes, we did. This was absolutely the palette cleanse project I've kind of been needing. It's been a while since I did a plushie, and I just love doing plushies. They are such a fun little thing to make, and especially something like this, which has such a really obscure reference behind it, but has brought so much joy to everybody I've shown it to. And that's kind of the key thing, whether you're into 40k or not, and know the lore or not, everybody absolutely loves this little guy. I've tried to catch all of the memes here with the blankies and the lamps and, well, I suppose he's a monster, so he's got to hang out on the monster. But I digress. I think the moral here is to just have fun, be weird, and embrace the silliness of whatever fandom you celebrate. Until next time, cheerio!